Hey guys, James here. So I like a lot of different types of films. There's not a genre that I absolutely hate, unless you're talking about slapstick comedies, of course. And recently I watched The Edge of 17, and it got me thinking, I really like coming of age movies, and while some are better than others, I think if they're done well, then they're really easy to relate to and connect with on a personal level. So in this video, I'm going to talk about some of my favourites and give you my thoughts on them. The film that was shot over 12 years, and if anyone had backed out at any point, the whole thing would have been fucked. I think everyone should watch Boyhood at least once, simply because of how unique and interesting its concept is. And don't get me wrong, it's a great film. I just think if you'd used the same script and shot it over 12 months, it wouldn't really have the same effect. The film follows a boy named Mason from age 6 all the way up to leaving college, looking at his different relationships, the times he spends with his family, and overall how he changes throughout the years. Now, it's easy to look at this and just think, oh, it's so overrated, guys. I could have come up with the same idea and done it, but the film does a brilliant job of not seeming too gimmicky and accurately shows what it's like to go through that time in your life. One of the main problems people seem to have with Boyhood is that nothing happens in it, and you're completely missing the point. This film's showing a boy's life, and sometimes life isn't always exciting, there's not going to be tons of explosions and shit, meaning there are scenes where not much happens, like people going bowling, Mason having a haircut, and obviously the best scene in the film when they're playing boxing on the Wii, because remember when that was a big deal? Yeah. And in some cases, if you took these scenes out and did make it more dramatized, it would have made it a lot less realistic. I do have a few issues though, like the acting, for example. In the earlier scenes especially, the child actors do come across a bit forced and unnatural, but after a while that didn't seem to bother me as much, and I began to focus more on what was going on. The best actors in this are Ethan Hawke and the person who plays the mother. Sorry, I don't know your name. In fact, one of my favourite moments is the scene where Mason has to leave and we see just how overwhelmed and upset his mother is. I don't think this is the best coming of age film, and because of its premise and how long it is, which is nearly 3 hours by the way, so you might want to get some popcorn prepared, I don't see myself watching this over and over as much as something like The Breakfast Club, but it definitely gives you an experience like no other film, and leaves you thinking, damn, where did all that time go, you know? 8th Grade is the newest film on this list and comes from Bo Burnham, the guy who can't fit his hand inside a Pringle can.
I can't fit my hand inside a Pringle can.
This was one of my most anticipated films of last year, mainly because I'm such a big fan of both stand-up and songs, so obviously when the trailer came out I was very excited. And considering this is his first time directing, the film is excellent. It's rare to see something that actually shows what it's like to be a teenager, and this is something 8th Grade nails. Everything from the way the characters speak to small decisions like choosing not to cover up the main character's spots, it all seems so real and authentic. Also, this film's a 15, so as you can imagine, it doesn't shy away from showing other stuff as well. When I say other stuff, I assume you know what I mean. Let's just say there's a scene involving a banana. The main protagonist is a 13-year-old girl called Kayla Day, who suffers from social anxiety and is trying to survive her last week of 8th grade. So whenever she speaks to someone at school or goes out with people, it makes for some very awkward and cringy scenes. And to cope with her anxiety, she makes YouTube videos about motivation and feeling good about yourself, so she's basically the female version of me. Whenever Kayla's in these situations, because of the way the film's shot and edited, it's like you're going through them with her. There's a really great scene where she goes to a pool party, not that intense, but this film makes a pool party look intense, and that's because of the way the scene's built up and paced. There's a great moment where she's just heavily breathing in the bathroom, lots of long takes used, and a very nice slow motion zoom out shot where you get to see just how frightening and overwhelming it is for her. Plus, the music in the background is very dramatic and over the top. The whole soundtrack's amazing really, and it's got a nice electronic feeling to it all. Since Kayla is in most of the movie, the film relies a lot on Elsie Fisher's performance, and she was amazing and did a brilliant job at seeming very believable and convincing as a struggling 8th grader. I think everyone did a great job as well in this film, especially the kids. The only problem I have with it is Kayla's dad, because I found him kind of stereotypical and like he didn't really do much for the film, if that makes sense. 8th Grade is one of my favourite films from last year. It's very funny, it's very emotional, and it's brilliant at showing how crap it can be when you're 13. I don't need to go through this one, right? It's Ferris Bueller. Pretty sure everyone's seen this. Ferris Bueller's Day Off is one of the most iconic and memorable comedies from the 1980s. Directed by none other than John Hughes and starring Matthew Broderick, aka Simba, from The Lion King as Ferris Bueller, the rebellious, fourth wall breaking teenager who takes a day off school with his best friend and girlfriend for a day of eating out in fancy restaurants, staring deeply into paintings, and of course, dancing to Twist and Shout. I wouldn't consider this a coming of age film, more of a comedy, but according to Google it is, so we're just gonna go with it. There aren't a lot of movies that I can say are perfect, and this is one of those films. Whilst it isn't the best ever, I can't find anything wrong with it. It's John Hughes at his best. Matthew Broderick is so funny and likeable as Ferris. The casting is excellent, you get the point. One thing I really like is the pacing. The film never seems to drag at all, and you would think with such a simple concept it would get boring after a while, but it doesn't. This film has everything. There's moments of comedy, moments of tension, there's so many great quotes and scenes, like the opening monologue, for example.
The key to faking out the parents is the clammy hands. It's a good non-specific symptom. I'm a big believer in it.
And this great line.
This isn't over yet, Buster. Do you read me?
Loud and clear, Mr. Peterson.
Call me sir, goddammit.
Yes, sir, yes, sir.
If you haven't seen it for whatever reason, then just watch it, you know? Go onto Netflix or Amazon and just watch it. Now, I would say more about this one, but you know, it's all been said before, really. And I want to get this video out, so I'm just gonna leave it there. Stand By Me is one of my favourite movies. The story is simple yet brilliant. It's set in the 1950s and follows 4 friends as they go on a journey to find a dead body. Now, on the surface, this is a very entertaining adventure film, but underneath you do get some typical things of coming of age movies, like aspects of self-discovery and also themes of friendship and grief. The story is told from the point of view of Gordy, the main character who narrates throughout most of the film. Now, sometimes narration can be annoying because it can come across a bit lazy and like there isn't much point to it, but in Stand By Me it works really well and makes sense because it's a guy reminiscing on his childhood. Although it's over 30 years old, Stand By Me still holds up. Yes, there are a few effects that look kind of fake now, like the train scene, but all in all, this film is timeless. Like most of the films on this list, the best part about it is the acting. It's extremely rare to see kids this young acting so well, and their friendship seems so believable and genuine, you would think they were friends in real life. Also, the dialogue is really great and makes for some funny scenes.
I don't shut up, I grow up. And when I look at you, I throw up. And then your mother goes around the corner and she licks it up.
Ooh, you're hard, showing off.
This film's quite emotional at times as well, especially one of the moments with Chris and Gordy. As well as the kids, there's also an appearance from Kiefer Sutherland as Ace, who went on to do stuff like 24 and Designated Survivor. Also, John Cusack has a small role as Gordy's older brother, but I don't really know him that well, so I can't really tell you what he's been in. The film is only 1 hour 30, but in the time it has, it tells a really compelling and poignant story about the importance of friendship, and in some ways, Stand By Me is still relevant today. It looks great, the acting is superb, and if I had to compare it to anything, it would probably be The Goonies, minus all the pirates and the weird sloth guy that eats chocolate bars all the time. But hey, Stand By Me still has this line.
Besides, me and Billy found him first.
Yeah, Vern told us how you found him.
Oh, Billy, I wish we never boosted that car. Oh, Billy, I think I just turned my Fruit of the Looms into a fudge factory.
Finally, I want to talk about the film I mentioned earlier, The Edge of 17. Now, looking at the poster for this one, it does look very cheesy and sort of like your average teen film, but after watching it, I can say that I was really surprised at how good this movie is. It's definitely one of the best coming-of-age films I've seen in a while. Nadine is a 17-year-old who is struggling with, well, she's just struggling, really. She's having problems with boys and all the typical teenage adolescent shit, I'll spare you the details. Basically, her brother starts dating her best friend, and you know, that's pretty awkward. Now, the plot for this one is very predictable, but because it's done so well, you don't really care. It's refreshing to see a film like this that doesn't sugarcoat everything and actually shows what it's like to be a teenager. This movie is really funny as well, especially the scenes with Woody Harrelson and the main character played by Haley Steinfeld, like the part involving a text message.
Dear everybody, as some of you know, I have 32 fleeting minutes of happiness per school day during lunch, which has been eaten up again and again by the same especially badly dressed student. And I finally thought, you know what? I would rather have the dark, empty nothingness.
And again, I feel like I've repeated this 4 times, but the reason this film is so good is because of the acting. Specifically, Haley Steinfeld's performance as Nadine, and she is in like the whole film, so if her acting was crap, then it would have made this a lot worse. Because of the script and because of the performance, you really do feel for her and want her to do well. I came into this film having no expectations, and I came out of it feeling really good. I don't want to drag this one out forever, because again, feel like I've repeated myself like 100 times. But if you are into teen films, then definitely check this one out. It's on Netflix, it's very emotional, there's a brilliant and intense scene in a car, and yeah, go watch it. Hopefully this video has made you realise how great coming of age films can be and encourages you to go out and watch one. Or if that's not your thing and you'd rather stick to Terminator, then go for it, you know? I don't blame you. Anyway, if you did like this video, then you can leave a like on it or even subscribe to my channel. I post a new video on film as often as I can. With that being said, thanks for watching and I will see you later.
I changed my mind. I want you out in front of the school with her. I'd like to have a few words with you, by God.